everyone, welcome back to my channel, and it is officially January, and that means we have to figure out what I'm going to read this month. But first things first, my Christmas present from Kaylin this year was this new bookshelf. It's fun, it rotates. You've probably seen it on TikTok, but he didn't get it on TikTok. He refused to get it on TikTok, so I think he got it at Walmart, so good on him. But I need to fill this. This will now be my new TBR shelf. And yes, I know I just did a reorg video where I kind of figured out other TBR situations, but now I will have plenty more room on those shelves once I move those books here. So let's do that first. My TBR, and there's plenty of room. Luckily, there's a whole shelf and a bunch of spaces on some of these. I'll kind of talk you through my thinking. I didn't really organize this in a very specific way, but I kept fiction up at the top. These are mostly standalones. I think all of them are. And then the second row is series. This includes series that I would start versus things I'm already in the middle of. So there's a few of the ones I've already in the middle of, and then one of the first book in a series. And then below here, I don't know if you can see, there's some cozy fantasy, there's some romantasy, randomly Immortal Longings, and then this kind of gothic or dark academia type fantasy. And then on the bottom are kind of my non-priority TBRs. I have a few things on there. Some books that I have to read other series before I get into it, like Air. Some books I'm just not entirely sure if I want to read them yet or not. So that is my little TBR spinning bookshelf. So the goal of January's TBR is to ideally hit a fully 5-star month. I somehow was able to do that last year without really trying. Probably because I tend to put off all the books that I know I'll really like. And then in the new year, I'm like, I should probably read that now. So I'm going to try to do that again. And hopefully it works out, but I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself. But my TBR today will not be using prompts, so I will be picking them based on which ones I think will be 5 stars. I'm not entirely sure how many I'll choose. Some might be non-physical ones that I have via ebook or audiobook, so keep that in mind. But I'm going to look through my shelves now. So I think I have, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books total on this TBR. So I'll start with the one that I don't have physically, and that is Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. This one I've been putting off for so long, and I have no excuse because I have the ebook, and I've about started it almost multiple times. So I think I'm going to kick off the year with that one, and I expect to really like that one. I've only heard good things, nothing bad. I just don't know if it'll fully be a 5-star in comparison to other books that are similar that I've read, but I'm willing to give it a try, and I've heard great things about her writing, and I want to read more from her. So, number 1 is Sword of Kaigen. The next book I picked is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This one also shouldn't be a surprise. I feel like I've talked about wanting to read this book or this series for the longest time, and similar to Sword of Kaigen, I know I will love it. Kaylin was also a big fan of it as well, and I love R.F. Kuang's writing, and I want to read more from her before her newest book comes out. So yes, I know this is starting a new series, but oh well. And I haven't finished other ones since. Well, technically I did finish one in December, the Plated Prisoner series, so I'm allowing myself this one. Next we have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This one I picked up a while ago, and it's so short, but it's sci-fi, so it feels a little daunting to me, but I've heard this is a weird book, and I've never read weird sci-fi, so I feel like this will be right up my alley, so I am expecting to really like it, and I've also only heard good things about this book, so wish me luck. Next we have a book by one of my favorite authors that I have yet to read yet, and it's the one that sounds like the most fun and weird premise so far, and that is Galapagos by Kurt Vonnegut. So I am definitely hoping this is a 5-star, because the last book I read from him wasn't a 5-star, but I think this will get him back on that 5-star train, so hopefully. But we'll see. And next we have, which technically this one is part of a series, but it's a fiction series, so I guess I don't really count those as like fantasy type series, because I don't really think they end on cliffhangers typically, right? I don't know. But that is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I really, really enjoyed Marina and his writing, and I know this is a little chunky, but I really want to get back into his writing, and I've heard really great things about this book as well. So this is number 5. And then next one is also an author that I haven't given 5 stars before. It's her only second book, I think, but I feel like the premise is more intriguing than her first book. And so I know I've talked about this book a ton on the channel, and I think it's time for me to finally read it. And that is The Glutton by A.K. Blakemore. And I'm hoping I love her writing as much as this, and the story is even better, so it will compel me to give it 5 stars. And then last but certainly not least, and another book you've heard me talk a ton about, which is why I haven't really given you synopses on these books, because I've talked about them so much, and I'm sure you can look them up if you're interested. But I will give you like the genre they are, but most of these I would say are fiction, except for a couple fantasy and one sci-fi. But the last book is In the Miso Soup by Ryu Murakami. The premise of this is just so intriguing to me. I've been dying to read it. I feel like it'll be exactly what I want. Hopefully it is. These are all predictions. I don't know what they will. This one I haven't really heard many people talk about, so I have no idea what I'm getting into with this one, but I think it'll be great. So I'll just give you like a quick one-liner of each of these. This is about a person who gives a tour to an American in Tokyo of the sleazy nightlife, but meanwhile there's also a serial killer on the loose, and so things start going weird during this tour. That's basically the gist of what I know. I'm not reading off of anything, so don't hold me to that, but that's my idea of what this book will be. For The Glutton, this book follows the story of a person in history, though it is fiction, called the Great Terrar, and apparently he was someone who would eat absolutely anything to him, hence the glutton. And so I think this is about a nun who comes across him in the hospitals towards the end of his life, I believe. So we probably get his whole story. So that is that. The Shadow of the Wind, I honestly have like absolutely no idea what this is about. But it's set in Barcelona, 1945. The city slowly heals from its war wounds, and Daniel, an antiquarian book dealer's son who mourns the loss of his mother, finds solace in a mysterious book entitled The Shadow of the Wind by one Julian Carriggs. But when he sets out to find the author's other works, he makes a shocking discovery. Someone has been systematically destroying every copy of every book Carriggs has written. In fact, Daniel may have the last of Carrick's books in existence. Soon, Daniel's seemingly innocent quest opens a door into one of Barcelona's darkest secrets, an epic story of murder, madness, and doomed love. Are you done? Nope. Are you done now? An epic story of murder, madness, and doomed love. Sounds like a fun ride. This one, I believe, set in AD 1986, 1 million years from what timeline, I guess, this is technically written in. This takes place on the Galapagos Islands, where after an apocalypse, a small group of survivors get stranded and become the progenitors of a brave, new, and totally different human race. Sounds fun, and I love his writing, so I'm excited. And then Annihilation, I kind of barely know, so I'll read you a quick summary. Area X has been cut off from the rest of the continent for decades, and nature has reclaimed the vast vestiges of human civilization. Expedition after expedition into Area X has failed to uncover its mysteries and the true nature of its danger to the world. Now a 12th expedition makes the attempt, a group of 4 women, an anthropologist, a surveyor, a psychologist, and the narrator, a biologist. Their mission is to map the terrain, record observations of their surroundings, and above all, avoid being contaminated by Area X. I love a good, what are we getting ourselves into? So we'll get there. Poppy War, I feel like needs no introduction, so I'm not gonna give it one. Same with A Sword of Kaigen. They're both Asian-inspired fantasies. I believe Poppy War is based on a real war in Chinese history, or I think multiple countries. I think actually multiple countries plus like a Chinese civil war. I'm not entirely sure. And then Sword of Kaigen, I think, is pure fantasy, not based on anything. But yeah. So these are my 5-star predictions. Hopefully they are 5 stars. We'll see if I get to all of them, because this is a lot for the beginning of the year. But I don't think it's too much. I don't think I have too many chunky books in there, though Sword of Kaigen is probably the longest. But that one will be via ebook, so I read those quicker. But yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of this and hopefully hit a 5-star January again. I tried to keep this video a little shorter than usual because I feel like my videos have been very long. So hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!